Any other questions? No? Nope. Okay, we're going to go to photography and video. This is a 4-hour session. I'm going to condense into 15 minutes. So we're not going to take a break. So some keys to making better photographs. Notice I use the word making as opposed to taking. We often say, well, I'm going to take a picture. Sometimes just put that in your head. I'm going to make a photograph. It will change the way in which you simply start to conceptualize what you're doing. You'll become more intentional about it. So some basic rules. Number one is get closer to your subject. I can't tell you how many pictures I see like this, where we have the feet cut off, sometimes the knees, and we have extra sky. We have lots of pictures of buildings in the background. If you go to the next slide, okay, move in closer. This is the number one rule for people who are doing any kind of photography. Yeah, here they come. I'm in trouble now. So they're coming forward to take a picture. It's been learned. Okay, next one. Photograph action. We have, and this relates to Josh Reines' point about the pictures with empty sanctuaries. The other thing we have lots of pictures of is, go back one slide. I see lots of pictures. Just hit the back arrow button. We have lots of pictures like this. When Andy gets back, probably mention, from a newspaper perspective, they don't want these pictures. This is an uninteresting picture. Now, I happen to like this picture because it's a picture of my son. But take pictures of people doing things. All right? So here's just a couple of examples. This is from a Honduras mission trip. And now, stop right here. Okay, so now somebody once said the difference between amateurs and professional photographers is the amount of film they use. Well, now we use digital, but the amount of photographs they take. And one of the things that professional photographers do that amateur photographers don't do is they take a lot of photographs. So for instance, now, when I first conceptualized this workshop and I had in mind 13 to 18 people at the Synod House, we were going to stop now, we were going to get the cameras out, and we're going to actually go and do things. I just want you to look around this room and just raise your hand if you see something you'd take a picture of. Arlene, what? Okay, good. All right, something else. Somebody else, raise your hand. What do you see that you want to take a picture of? Yes. Okay, Mike and all his gear. Somebody else, yes. People from your congregation, good. Somebody else, yes. Rachel with her feet up. Somebody else, yes. Somebody that's raising their hand. And you can go on and on and on and on and on like this. And most of the time when people take photographs, they'll just say they took 1 or 2 pictures. And then they go back to your church and they'll post 1 or 2 pictures on the bulletin board, if you even do that, or just 1 or 2 pictures. All of those different things tell a story. Taking a picture of the blueberry muffins and saying, could we put chocolate-covered bacon on these? And then people would say, what's that all about? And you get to tell the story. You get to link it to what was talked about. You get to link it to Facebook. So the number 1, 2, 3 rule on photographs here, this is all one event. Here's a nice kind of people portrait picture of this person at the end. Here are the beans. Here is the actual process of cooking, close up. There, get the idea? So when you go and take pictures, and for instance, if you're going to go back from this event and you brought your camera, take some of these other things. Come up here and photograph the projector. There's a great story about a great photographer, Jay Mizell, in New York City. He had an assistant with him. He said, you stay by the car. It was in a not very safe neighborhood. Here's a little tiny, and he gave him a, what do you call those? Instamatic throwaway disposable cameras. He said, go ahead and take some pictures if you want. Jay Mizell goes off for an hour to go do some things. He gets back and says to him, what'd you take pictures of? He says, I didn't take any pictures. He was standing here by the car. There's nothing to photograph. Mizell takes the camera out of his hand and using 24 photographs, goes around, photographs the hub of the wheel, photographs a reflection. So in other words, there's a lot more to photograph than what we typically think about. and now what you do with these photographs. Let's go to the next slide. Oh, I forgot this part. All right. Most of us have gas in this whole equipment question, because this equipment question comes up all the time. So go to the next slide. Most of us have gas, which is gear acquisition syndrome. We think we will be better at what we do if we buy the newest, latest, greatest, bestest, mostest. Go to the next slide. In reality, you can use any of these to do photography. If you want to use just a point and shoot, you can use your iPhone. I almost called it a social media phone. That's kind of what it's becoming. You have an old camera, you have a film camera, whatever. Use what you have. Don't feel like you've got to go out and get something, because that will make you a better photographer. Okay, next picture. All right, ways to use photographs in your church. Everybody can do number one, and everybody should do number one for literally every event in your congregation. Have a bulletin board. You came to this event today. Go home tonight, print out 5, 6, 7 pictures, and just a quick thing on a piece of paper or handwriting if you've got good handwriting. I don't. You know, communications event at Trinity. Pictures, people will come and they'll be interested in that, and they'll learn that. You'll create a lot more traffic to that bulletin board. I'm talking about a literal bulletin board. I'm talking about something like where those pictures are. I'm talking about something that we all have in all of our churches. This is worth investing in. You tell the story, you create momentum, you create interest and conversation. So somebody that you may not know in your congregation that knows HTML, XTML, can do the most fantastic website in the world, you don't know about them, but you go and you put a bulletin board with some pictures. You were at a communications seminar. That person might come out of the woodwork and say, you were at a communications workshop? What was that all about? Well, you know, we're trying to figure out how to do a new website. Oh, I do that. But they would never have responded to that announcement on Sunday morning that said, we need somebody to do a website, because they might not have been there, or they didn't get the message, or they were on their cell phone. They weren't paying attention. On websites, no more pictures of buildings, already been said. As slideshows in worship or fellowship hall, a couple of different congregations I've been to. Was at St. Peter in